The most dangerous man in a woman's life is not the one who gives her everything. It's not the man who fills her phone with texts. Not the one who sacrifices his peace just to keep her happy. And it's not the man who worships her like she's his only reason for living. The most dangerous man is the one who doesn't need her. The man who is whole before she enters his life and whole after she leaves it. The man who can love deeply but never lets that love chain him. Because when she realizes that you don't need her, something happens inside her that she can't see control. And that realization changes everything. Part 1. The shock of detachment. Longer. At first, she won't notice. She's used to being the center of gravity in men's lives. She's used to men orbiting around her like planets around the sun. But slowly, she sees the signs. Your replies aren't instant anymore. Your energy doesn't lean in. It holds its ground. You don't compete for her attention. You don't fight for her validation. At first, she tells herself, he must be distracted. But then the truth sinks in. You're not distracted. You've simply taken back your power. And that's when the unease begins. Because women can handle rejection. They can handle indifference. But what shakes them to their core is a man they cannot move. The games stop working. The silence no longer punishes you. The tests bounce off you like arrows hitting stone. She realizes you're not like the rest. And that unsettles her more than she'll ever admit. Part 2. The mirror of power. When you don't need her, you hold up a mirror. She sees herself differently through you. She sees every man who collapsed for her, and the one man who never did. She sees every weak response she used to control men with, failing against your calm. She sees every dramatic silence she tried to weaponize, landing flat against your indifference. And in that mirror, she realizes something terrifying. You don't need her, but she might need you. This is where the regret begins to take root, because women don't remember the men who begged. They remember the man who didn't break. Every test, every push, every cold withdrawal only highlights how steady you are. And steadiness is rare, rarer than good looks, rarer than money, rarer than charm. It's the rare man, the stoic man, who becomes unforgettable. Part 3. The shift in control. When you stop needing her, the entire dynamic flips. Control shifts without a word being spoken. Suddenly, she is the one wondering, why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he like the rest? What does he have that makes him so unbothered? She may double down. More games, more tests, more silence. But underneath, she knows it's not working. Because here's the paradox. The moment you need her, she loses respect. But the moment you don't need her, she can't stop thinking about you. Your silence becomes the loudest voice in the room. Your absence becomes heavier than your presence. And she begins to feel the emptiness she created, staring back at her. Part 4. The unforgettable man. Here's what she won't admit. She may laugh with friends. She may post online. She may even move on with another man. But late at night, when she's alone with her thoughts, that's when you haunt her. Not because you're chasing, not because you're begging, but because you didn't fold when she expected you to. Every time a man tries to win her with words, she remembers your silence. Every time a man loses his composure, she remembers your calm. Every time someone bows to her ego, she remembers the man who stood tall. And that memory doesn't fade. Because you didn't just leave her life, you left an imprint. Part 5. The regret she can't escape. Regret is a strange thing. It doesn't always arrive right away. Sometimes it shows up quietly, weeks, months, even years later. At first, she might celebrate her freedom. She might post pictures, laugh with friends, and pretend that she's moved on. To the outside world, it looks like she's fine, maybe even better off without you. But regret doesn't always wear a dramatic mask. It seeps in slowly. It begins when she meets another man who bends at the first sign of her disapproval. It deepens when someone new tries to impress her with validation she doesn't even respect. And it grows heavier every time she realizes none of them are you. You, the man who stood firm. You, the man who did not need her to survive. You, the man who wasn't broken when she left. That kind of man stays in a woman's memory forever. Not because he was perfect, not because he begged her to remember him, but because his strength drew a contrast she can't ignore. Every weak man she encounters only magnifies the strength you carried in silence. Every fleeting connection only reminds her of the depth you had. And every moment she feels unfulfilled in the arms of another reminds her of the one who didn't need her, but who still stood unshaken.